Attention! Lamlang kunying ba? Hello, come listen to me read a book. Gulumbeya Pahova. My name is Pahua Vang. I go by Mrs. Vang, and I teach preschool at Hinchin Elementary School. So today I'm going to read the book, The Most Beautiful Thing by Gao Kalia Ya and illustrated by Kao Lee. So before I read my book, I want to sing a song with you. And the song I want to sing is called Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But first I'm going to sing it in Hmong and then I will sing it in English. So if you know the song, you can sing it with me, okay? So it goes like this. Di, 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 nu, gu, mei, gu, sa, bo, ge, yo, ling, bu, nya, xie, xie, bu, shao, lu, lu, zhong, li, lu, ba, zhe, di, 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 nu, gu, mei, gu, sa, bo, ge, yo, ling, bu. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay, thank you for singing with me. So the book I'm reading today is called The Most Beautiful Thing, written by Gao Kalia Yang. And Gao Kalia is a Hmong American author. She's written many books. So I really enjoy reading her books. That's why I've chosen this one. Gao Kalia Yang wrote about her childhood experience as a Hmong refugee. And this picture book portrays her family with little money and a great deal of love, and weaving together her story with the other, weaving her story with that of her beloved grandmother. Okay, so I love this story. The Most Beautiful Thing by Gao Kalia Yang and illustrated by Kao Lee. The most beautiful thing. My grandmother is old. No one knows how old she is. Not me, not my big sister Doug, not our older cousin Lee. My father waits patiently when we try to guess her age. He is my grandma's 9th and youngest child, and even he does not know how old she is. Grandma? We know that my grandma was born on the other side of the world, across a wide ocean. My grandma came from a time and a place where creatures lurked in the jungles waiting to chase unwary children. She told us that she once looked into the gleaming eyes of a tiger and felt its hot breath on her face. By the time I was born, my grandmother already had an old woman's face. Her skin was soft but dry like paper, and in her mouth was a single tooth. Grandma said, "It is the only thing standing strong in my mouth, this final tooth that my mother and father gave me." I asked to see a picture of her parents. She said, "Minai, they lived in a time long before the Hmong learned of such things as photographs." She pointed to her heart. "The only picture I have of them is here." The luckiest of the grandchildren got to help take care of Grandma. Lee got to wash Grandma's clothes by hand at the bathroom sink with sweet-smelling pink soap. Doug got to wash Grandma's soft brown back in the bathtub with a soapy cloth. And me? I got to clip her fingernails and toenails while Grandma sat on her favorite stool in the light from the window. I can still feel the roughness of Grandma's heels in my hand, the thickness of her toenails in between my fingernails. I can see the bottoms of her feet, thick and brown and broken deep cracks filled with dirt from long ago and far away. Grandma told me that her mother and father died when she was a little girl. Grandma was just a child herself, but she had to take care of her brother and baby sister. I look up at my grandma from the place where I sat at her feet, and I asked her, "How did you get food for them?" Grandma said, "I didn't find enough food. We lived always with hunger eating us on the inside. All my life with her, even with just her one tooth, Grandma never said no when we offered her something to eat." The ice cream truck was singing its song from down the street. I looked underneath the couch for quarters. There were none, so I got ice cubes from the freezer. I offered one to Grandma in my red plastic cup. She smiled at me. When I wanted a new dress to wear on the first day of third grade, my mother said she did not have enough money. She found some nickels and a dime in her purse and offered them to me. I bought hard peppermint candies from the neighborhood groceries at the corner of our block. When I got home, I offered one to Grandma on the palm of my hand. She smiled at me. At the round table with its shaky legs, I used my spoon to mix and mix in the center soup bowl we all shared. There were no pieces of meat, only bones and soft grains. My father said, "The price of meat is too expensive at the market, Minai." I found a thick chunk of bone and offered it to Grandma on my spoon. She smiled at me. We had plenty of meat only when we celebrated Hmong New Year with our aunts, uncles, and cousins. The old table was heavy with whole boiled chickens, were more than our family could ever eat. After dinner, our bellies full, my cousins and I sat on the carpet around Grandma as she told us stories. She always began, "It was a long time ago, and I was just a girl." As we listened, our eyes grew round. Grandma twisted her fingers, one over the other, to show us what the hands of a panzong, jungle spirits the size of children, look like. She taught us how to listen for the cries of fearsome Pinubai by holding our breath until our hearts pounded in our ears. We were always sad when Aunt Chu called, "Time for the children to help clean up." On a cold day, when the snow blew onto the window panes and the light was dim, I asked Grandma about the dirt in her feet. She told me she didn't have shoes after Mother and Father died. She went shoeless to the mountains to tend to the family field. She ventured into the jungle to look for wild roots, bamboo shoots, and edible mushrooms. And one day, she was chased by a tiger. As she fled, her bare feet broke open on the fallen branches, and she still ran, blood and dirt mixing into clay with each step. I squeezed her feet in my arms and pulled them close to my heart, a hug for the hard road she's walked to get to me. Each year, cutting my grandma's nails went faster because I grew stronger and bigger and more able. Each year, Grandma's feet felt smaller and smaller in my hands and my lap. Her stories, too, slowed with the passing years. She pauses between her words, grew long. Sometimes, as Grandma was looking for the words she lost to the years, I grew distracted from my task, looking at the toys on the floor that needed to be picked up, the unfinished schoolwork, the younger children who needed to be bathed. Her deep, even breathing would call me back to the moment, only to find her eyes closed in sleep, one hand braced against the window to cradle her head. I grew unhappy with our life. I was tired of getting ice cubes from the freezer when I wanted ice cream. I was tired of never getting the new dress for that first day of school. I was tired of gnawing on the bone in the soup when I wanted meat for myself and my grandma. One evening, I studied my face in the bathroom mirror, wishing my teeth were straight. I came out of the bathroom and said, "Mom and Dad, I want braces. Can I have them?" My mother looked up from nursing my baby sister and said, "We don't have any money. Maybe next year?" My father looked up from my toddle sister. He was bouncing on his leg and said, "I wish we could get your new braces, Minai, but we can't right now." My grandmother looked up from her special stool by the big window. "Galia," she said, "look at me." I turned to her in the glow of an early evening. The sun was low in the sky and its golden light fell on her face. Grandma asked, "Is my smile not beautiful?" In that moment, I could see all the times my grandmother had smiled at me. I could taste the cold ice cubes that melted summer's heat from our tongues, the sweetness of the hard peppermint candies, and the deep flavors of the bone broth in the bowls of boiled greens. Even now, I can still see my grandma's single tooth, white against the shadows, standing tall in her open mouth. Her smile was the most beautiful thing. And the end. So this is a picture of the author, Galia. Okay. And this is the illustrator, Cowley. All right, so thank you for listening to me read. All right, I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. Thank you.